Hello everyone and welcome to another health and wellness video. You are at the Wausau Wellness Center's YouTube page and you can always subscribe to get new videos at the bottom. Just look at the bottom of your screen or click the little alert bell and it will alert you when you get new videos. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different, a different kind of paradigm shift, a possible paradigm shift in health and wellness in fighting age-related diseases. Of course, the Wausau Wellness Center has everything you need to start a good foundation of health, like organic food and natural supplements and things like that. And typically, when you do take a supplement, you try to correct things that are going wrong as you're aging, or if you have a specific illness or specific health issue, there are certain supplements, certain things you can take that can moderate those effects and help you out. And especially as you age, our bodies produce less vitamin D3 as we age. So it's a good idea, according to many, that you can supplement to bring your levels back up to a more youthful vitamin D3 level. Same thing with B12. That's something that your body doesn't absorb as well as you get older. So you can take sublingual B12 as you get older to make sure you're not getting a little bit low on B12. And of course, you might have seen some of the other videos here on the channel. If you haven't, you might want to check out Patrick Toit's videos about things you can do to reverse heart disease. That's very remarkable. Patrick had real bad heart disease, and his doctors said, well, who knows how much longer you're going to live. I mean, it was bad. So he's a paper company engineer, and he just looked at all the different things that he could possibly do to reverse heart disease, learn everything he could about heart disease. And he has a little list, are your vitamin D levels okay? Are your hormone levels okay? Is this okay? Are these vitamins okay? And he actually came up with a concentrated form of vitamin K that has been really helpful for him and could perhaps help other people out. So you might want to check that out. It gives you an idea of what you can do with current supplementation, even reverse heart disease. Yeah, so today I want to talk about something else. You've seen it on the screen here for a while, senescent cells in disease, especially age-related disease. And you might ask, what is senescence? Well, the dictionary definition. Let's go there first. The process of growing old, the state of being old, the conditions resulting from the transitions and accumulations of the deleterious aging processes. Doesn't sound too good. Well, it's interesting that senescent cells play a part in this type of dictionary definition of senescence, growing old. What are senescent cells? They are cells in your body that have undergone a permanent state of cell cycle arrest induced by cellular stress. Yes, and the bottom of the screen there, you see a happy cell that is working great, doing all the things the cell needs to do to keep you healthy. Then you got dead cells. I mean, every day we lose billions of cells, or billions of cells stop working and they die and they get cleared out by your body, by your immune system. They have this thing called apoptosis, which is cell suicide. If it stops functioning, some cells just they're gone. They take themselves out. And then we have something called senescent cells, which on the screen you see labeled as zombie cells. They're not doing the good things they're supposed to be doing, but they're not dead either. So they just kind of sit there. And here's the key point. They accumulate in all of your tissues and all of your organs as you grow older. For those of you who might be 20, 30 years old watching this video, you don't have many senescent cells in your body. A very tiny fraction of your cells have turned into senescent cells. Older people, that fraction of cells has grown. And that's at the point where you might start to see some problems from senescent cells. I'm getting close to 50 years old, and I'm at that point where I'm probably starting to feel some of the effects of too many senescent cells. Let's talk about what kinds of stress might create a senescent cell. We're talking about a few things. I'm not going to get too technical here in the video, not too scientific. I'm just trying to give an overview of what are senescent cells and what are the problems associated with senescent cells. So there's very deep scientific terminology and mechanisms at work here, but we're just doing kind of an overview to give you an idea of why perhaps you should be concerned about senescent cells. Well, strong signals to divide. Mitogenic signaling, that's one of the key things that might turn a senescent cell, a working cell, into a senescent cell. Cells have to divide, like your skin cells divide all the time, your muscle cells and things, to replace all the dead ones on a daily basis. But if those signals get too strong, maybe that cell could turn into a zombie cell or a senescent cell. Also, out of place production of tumor suppressors. Our bodies have wonderful tumor suppression almost throughout our entire lives, but that starts to break down a little bit as we get older. As you know, the highest chance of people, the most likely people who will get cancer are older people. As you grow older, your odds increase. It's sad, but that is the case because our bodies have very good tumor suppression in them. But if there are some out-of-place tumor suppressors, all of a sudden, a working cell might turn into a senescent cell. Same thing if you get damage to the outer coating of your DNA, which is called the epigenome. I call it a coating, but you can kind of think of it like that. You've got your DNA that has all the blueprint for your life, your body, and then you have this outer coating that also does some things in your cell and helps regulate things. If that has damage, your cell could become senescent. And then also if you have actual DNA or telomere damage, then a cell could also become senescent. Now you wonder, senescent cells, they seem to be kind of a natural thing that happen in your body, and maybe they have some positive effects in your body. Well, one of the benefits of senescence is tumor suppression. We talked about some of these stresses that occur to a cell, and a lot of those are kind of linked with cancer, right? So a lot of people have theorized that, well, a cell will go senescent just so it doesn't become a cancer cell and start dividing and causing real big problems. And also, wound healing. In the site of a wound, typically, senescent cells will proliferate. And it's not exactly 100% understood what happens, why that happens. Senescent cells might be recruiting the immune cells to come to that location and make sure to attack any bacteria or other pathogens that got into the wound. Or they might help with the scar tissue to develop that quicker so that you can heal. But senescent cells typically are found in greater numbers around wounds, and that's another positive thing. But other than that, they really cause a lot of problems once they start to increase in your body, especially as you get older. Let's take a look at how they cause problems. It's called the SASP, but let me move the car exhaust out of the screen here just for a second here so you can see the detriments of senescence. The SASP, you can think of this as fumes that a cell puts out. The senescence-associated secretory phenotype. A phenotype is how you identify something, how you identify a senescent cell. And by cytokines, they put out a lot of cytokines, which are related to immune system function, sometimes chemokines, growth factors, and proteases that deal with enzymes and proteins in your body. And these things do have legitimate functions in your body. However, if it's too much all the time, it's like inflammation. You've heard of inflammation, right? And you take maybe curcumin, at the Wausau Wellness Center, the staff there will always say, hey, if you've got inflammation or you've got, pain in your joints, arthritis, curcumin tamps down inflammation, and same thing. These senescent cells produce kind of inflammation. You can kind of think of it as fumes that they're giving off. And that's why I have the car exhaust here to kind of give you an idea of a senescent cell. Once again, to kind of get it in your head. A working car has a motor and a transmission and tires, and you roll down the highway, right? And just think if the transmission broke. The car's still running, but all it's doing is putting out fumes, right? It's not getting you where you need to go. It's not functioning properly, and that's the same thing as a senescent cell. I've also got a little diagram here, maybe a little bit funny, that you see the zombie cell, just one of them, in the middle of a large section of cells putting out fumes, and what happens to the other cells? Well, they get ill, right? They still work, but they get ill. It's like when you go to work when you have a cold or the flu and you're like, oh, it's so tough to get through this work day. And you're not as productive and you have a headache and you're like, oh, I hope this goes away soon. Well, senescent cells are putting out all these fumes into the surrounding tissue and the cells get sick. They just don't work. Your real good cells stop working as well. And senescent cells, like I mentioned earlier, are in every tissue in your body, in your liver, in your pancreas, in your spleen, in your brain, in your heart. They're senescent cells. They just accumulate. They just happen to be in every tissue. So What can you do about senescent cells? Let's talk about that. That's one of the main points of the video here. Well, we go back in the research here and we see that James L. Kirkland from the Mayo Clinic, he's one of the main investigators who really, I would say, kicked off a lot more interest in senescent cells. Way back in 1992, he was describing the biochemistry of mammalian senescence, senescent cells, how they contribute. And also in 2002, a real landmark paper, I thought, The Biology of Senescence, Potential for the Prevention of Disease. And also in the early 2000s, Aubrey de Grey also said, hey, senescent cells might be one of the root causes of aging. And I just want to stop here for a second and remind you what we're talking about here. A lot of the vitamins and supplements in the organic food that you might get at the Wausau Wellness Center, a lot of great stuff, really helps you out, builds a foundation of health. But they're not exactly the root cause of all of your issues, your health issues. They help ameliorate a lot of your symptoms, but there's a root cause to a lot of different things. And one of the root causes of aging, perhaps, is senescent cells. So if you can do something about senescent cells, that might help out a lot of issues and maybe even reverse some things in aging. And that's what's been found in a lot of mouse studies, other animal studies. Not so much in humans yet, it's just very new, but in animal studies, the reversal of many age-related conditions. So what can you do? You can target the SASP, you can target the fumes of the senescent cells. That's like taking curcumin to tamp down inflammation or other types of things to kind of counteract those fumes, or target the cells. And you think, can we get rid of certain types of cells that are just everywhere in your body and all the different tissues? Yes, the answer is definitely yes. We know that because we can target cancer cells pretty well nowadays, and there is some possibility for targeting the cells. Let's take a look. You can take nutrients. Believe it or not, there are some plant nutrients extracts that have shown in mice, in animal models, in research that have cured some of the problems that are involved with senescent cells. Quercetin and theaflavin are a couple, and fisetin. Those are all plant extracts. You also see chemo drugs up there. You're like, what? Chemotherapy? Yeah, dasatinib, navitoclax, obatoclax. Those are all chemotherapy drugs which target cancer, knock out cancer. But in low doses, they target senescent cells. And they've been tried in mice, and it works. And you think, well, maybe I don't want to take chemotherapy drugs, but at very low doses, there are well-known side effects that are manageable or even, barely noticeable. And you get the side benefit of knocking out some of those senescent cells. How about antibiotics, azithromycin and roxithromycin, I guess. Don't knock me on some of the pronunciations here. That's something else that has been shown to also target some senescent cells. Now, that is also a little bit different, or that might be a little bit risky at this point, because we know that antibiotics can harm your gut bacteria. So it's not anything you want to take all the time. But it's a possibility. And then also peptides like FOXO4-DRI. There are a few people that are actually trying that. It was proven in mice to take out senescent cells and show some rejuvenation. So some people said, hey, I'm going to try it. They inject it. And some, I think, have been doing it for 2 years now, at least. So there may be some results soon if they get some testing done. Testing. That's one thing that it will help you know if any therapy, if any supplement, if anything you're doing is helping to erase some of the disease markers in your body or some of the aging, rejuvenate yourself somewhat. Patrick Toit, in some of the other videos here on the channel, he just tested himself. He was trying his supplement regimen and different things to try and reverse heart disease. And he was successful, but it took thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of tests, because he wasn't just going to do things randomly and just hope it was going to work. He took a supplement, then he took a test, then he took another therapy, then he took a test, and he came up with a great combination. Same thing here. If you're going to do some of this stuff and you really wanted to know, does it really help me? You might want to take some biomarker tests, like aging biomarker tests beforehand. Do a senescent cell supplement like one that you see on the screen, and then do another test afterward, a little while afterward. There's also, I should point out at the bottom of the screen, some novel therapeutics and technology that's being developed in some companies like Unity Biotechnology and a couple of others. Full disclosure, I actually bought stock in Unity Biotechnology because they were one of the first ones to have a human trial. They are targeting arthritis because senescent cells are in your joints, and they are targeting your joints, trying to see if their compounds, their therapies that target senescent cells will improve arthritis. And they're already through phase 1 trials, and they went through those very well. And I should mention again, I'm unaware of a negative study in mice or other animals with senescent cells, and a lot of these things that you see on the screen there that could take out senescent cells and help rejuvenate your body. Almost every study that I've read in mice, and there's been a lot, they've all come out with positive results and reverse many signs of aging. So you might be wondering, have I taken any of these senescent cell things? Well, here we go. I'm not a spokesperson for Life Extension Foundation, but senolytic activator was one of the first products on the market, and it's out of those plant extracts. And, by default, I'm kind of cautious. I don't want to do any of the real, out of the blue kind of risky therapies right away after a mouse trial. A lot of people are very willing to do that. A lot of older people, they want to do something right now because they are feeling, the Grim Reaper's knock coming on their door. So they want to try it out. But for me, I thought, well, quercetin and theaflavin, well studied, and they work to knock out senescent cells in mice. And they're plant extracts, so it seems fairly safe. Anything that you take, you might have an allergic reaction to, of course. These are highly concentrated forms of quercetin and theaflavin, and they are, they're in a different form that gets through your liver a little bit easier. Otherwise, your liver kind of processes a lot of these plant extracts. Your liver kind of knows how much of certain things your body needs. And quercetin is not something that your liver thinks your body needs a whole lot of, even though it can be very beneficial. So this is just a form that gets through your liver a little bit more. It's more bioavailable is what they would call it in the supplement lingo. So this is just one of them. I don't want to, again, push any specific product exactly. The Wausau Wellness Center does have this product if you wanted to check it out, of course. But hopefully we'll have some others in the future. I took this earlier this year, and I did get an aging biomarker test afterward. And so now I'm waiting for those test results to see if there's any noticeable difference. What would I say I felt after taking the quercetin and theaflavin here? I don't have like super good evidence right now that anything really dramatic happened. I would just say that it seemed like I felt better, positive. I kind of had a positive mood. I don't know. It was for a couple of weeks. In the middle of winter, I started taking the combination there, and I just felt slightly better. And I don't know if you can attribute it to the senolytic activator. I don't know. But it didn't. I didn't get ill from it. I didn't have suffering. I mean, my stomach tolerated it just fine. And I'm taking a little bit more now, 6 months later. And then next year I might try Physidin, as that is another plant extract that shows some pretty good action against senescent cells, knocks them out, gets them out of your body. So that's something I might try next year. And you might think, well, why not just try all of these right now, day after day after day after day, right? Well, the thing with senescent cells is because you're talking about kind of a root cause of aging, and because it takes a long time for the number of them to grow large enough to become a problem and create all the fumes in all of your body tissues, you only need to do it once, theoretically. Now, since there are all different types of senescent cells in all different organs and tissues of your body, you might need different types of these senolytics, they're called, to knock out different types of senescent cells. It's early in the research game for human trials. So you might need to try one year and another one the next year. But if they are very effective at knocking out senescent cells, and you knock your senescent cell number down to a very tiny level, that's like going back to 20 or 30 years old when you had very few of those. Now, it's going to take another 10 or who knows how many years for the senescent cells to grow to become a big enough problem again that you would have to worry about it. So theoretically, this is not a supplement like D3 where you want to take every day, because as you grow old, your body just doesn't make as much. And if you want to supplement back to youthful levels, you got to take it every day. Same with, well, your body doesn't make vitamin C. So it's a good thing you got to get vitamin C in your diet every day. But Senolytics, if you take these senolytic activators like the Life Extension one or any one of these, if you are successful in knocking out senescent cells, there you go. You just knocked out one of the root causes of aging, and hopefully you'll feel beneficial effects from all of the reversal of all of the age-related diseases. So that's the key point. It is kind of a paradigm shift if it works. Now, again, it's early in the research for senescent cells. It looks very promising. It's pretty rare that mouse studies translate into human, studies very well. Most of the time, no. But the studies in mice and other animals have been pretty dramatic, and they've been repeatable and successful many times over. So I'm fairly positive about senescent cells. You can always stop at the Wausau Wellness Center to ask the staff there about any questions that you might have about it. Read up about the Senolytic Activator or any other products like that will be there in the future. Again, if you like this video, if you like to learn more about reversing age-related diseases and staying healthy and staying young, well, subscribe to this channel. Click the subscribe button and also the little alert bell, and you'll be notified. Thanks for watching today.